Hello and welcome to another episode of Funhaus. This week we're sponsored by Blue Apron. We get 30% off your first order, but more on that later. You have to at least get halfway through the episode. That's how it all works. I'm joined by, who's here? James.
Hi.
Lawrence.
Hey.
Elise.
Hello.
Benson's down there. He's asleep.
He won't be contributing, I'm sure.
Boy, oh boy. How are you guys doing?
That looked really cool.
Okay.
I saw Avatar Land for a little bit.
Yeah, you know why you saw Avatar Land? Because we're talking about Disney
Oh.
today.
Disney owns everything.
And how Disney owns you. They own me. They own the content that we watch. They own Elise's
Power
hairstyle.
magic. Just scribble it out. Money.
Nobody wants to
Power
own this
of money.
hairstyle.
It's a great hairstyle. It's short, manageable. So real quick, give you guys a little primer on this story. Oh, we will be doing an Airbud check-in at the end.
Yes,
I
but only
promise you that.
because.
What?
Well,
I
I mean,
fucked
we'll
that
get
up,
there.
and I'm
but-
sorry.
What do you mean?
I thanked you last week, James,
Oh.
but I didn't thank you hard enough for keeping the Airbud dream alive, and then I forgot about it when I got back, so I apologize for
I wasn't
that.
going to say anything,
I know.
but it seemed pretty obvious to me while you were doing it that
66 minutes.
it was going to be bad news.
Oh, wait,
That's
I was watching
referred
all
from
those-
the Dude Soup.
I was watching all those kid
No.
videos on Dude Soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to get some bad feedback from that,
Yeah.
but
Hey, man, you're in the system.
yeah.
The
wanna
fucking
see
machine
them.
learning got you now.
Look at those princesses strutting.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Disney, everybody.
Thank you, Jay.
So there was a recent story. It came and it went quickly, but it's worth discussing.
Is this your headline? Poor Dinsey is having a tough week.
I like the typo.
Last Lindsay.
So Disney was having a tough week. First, Thor made $431 million this past weekend. And they were apparently having talks to buy out Fox, which got everyone a collective hard-on about the X-Men coming to the MCU.
Michael, that's the first thing.
Yeah, I know.
My toys can play
Big
together.
nerds, yeah.
Never mind that they control all media in the world.
It doesn't matter to
Yeah,
them.
whatever. That's cool.
And then some journalists said some mean things back in September,
Wasn't even that mean.
and it wasn't that
Actually,
mean.
pretty objective and fair, but we'll get there. I keep
We'll get
jumping
to
ahead.
it.
I keep jumping ahead.
This is actually a very news-heavy episode. We didn't review any movies. We're actually not really talking about any particular film. This is more about how giant corporations can control the way you consume media, and other outlets, news outlets, being able to even criticize.
Yeah, I believe
Sad
it
news.
started with Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, 1958, and Disney said, "We think there are an adequate amount of broomsticks," but the press said, "More bed knobs,
And less broomsticks.
How could there be more than 4 bed knobs?
more bed knobs."
That's just obscene.
Yeah, that starts to get
5,
uncomfortable.
6 bed knobs?
Where are you going to put them?
My understanding, Adam, is that the LA Times actually wrote a pretty scathing article,
It
which
was-
is not really scathing
It
at
was
all.
not scathing. If you actually read the article,
Actually, pretty fairly
Absolutely.
objective and
Anyway.
even-handed.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get into it, but you know what this struck me as kind of? It seemed very similar to the Wall Street Journal PewDiePie thing,
Even
where it's like, let's
Even
list out
less.
stuff.
yeah. So yes. I think there are a couple of points you could stick the Wall Street Journal on. One is that they did that video piece with like very sinister sounding
Well, yeah,
music.
the article I'm talking about specifically.
Yeah, the article itself
Yeah.
was. I think this is another example of people aren't used to journalism anymore. So when it actually happens, people don't know what to make of it, and then like people try to spin a narrative around it. And Disney tried, God bless them, didn't take them very far. But I think we're already getting into commentary as opposed to just laying out the facts.
yeah, real
Yeah.
quick. So the story started out where last week the LA Times was banned from a screening for reviewing Thor Ragnarok, and they had assumed it was because it was a piece that they wrote back in September called "Is Disney Paying Its Share in Anaheim? The Money Battle Outside the Happiest Place on Earth." It's actually a pretty good article. Highly recommend you read it if you want to get kind of an inside look into Disney's relationship with the city of Anaheim, where Disneyland is, and how it almost feels like the mob, sort of like a mob relationship with the city. Not one-to-one, but there's a whole interesting story about how money is made on parking, what sort of things Disney actually pays for the city of Anaheim, how shitty Anaheim is without Disney.
Oh, I mean, I'd say that Anaheim, the first thing that comes to mind is Disneyland and the Ducks, but,
The Pizza Press.
you know,
But even that was second.
yeah.
You sound like such an old person.
And that was
I just love
also
the
Disney,
Ducks.
by the way.
You know, the A-Ducks.
Yeah, you just go
Yeah.
feed them by the pond.
Yeah, that's true.
So the thing is, like Adam, you described it as a mob thing, which I think is already kind of coloring it. Disney, or rather Disneyland and Anaheim, have a relationship that is mutually beneficial, but there's a push and a pull there. Anaheim has the establishment, so they have some leverage. They can say like, well, Disney, you're not going to move and you're not going to shut down Disneyland, so we need to meet in the middle somewhere. And Disney being the corporate monolith they are, have all of the lawyers and all of the city planners, and like they have the sophistication, the body count, the money, to squeeze Anaheim to get deals in their favor. And so it's not like Disney is going up to council people's houses and like kicking in their windows or setting them on fire. It is all legal, but it is the push and pull of an open market.
So before we even get into that story, because I'm going to leave a lot of that to you, Lauren, since you read it thoroughly and you have a lot of the details and you're really good at breaking stuff down.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm done jerking you off. This is the scary part. This is a story written about Disneyland's relationship with Anaheim, and it made its way over into the entertainment sector. So now you start to realize, I thought it was an eye-opening thing to see. This is how far-reaching this company is, that a pretty fair and balanced article comes out. They're petty. They're basically being petty about it. They then reach into a different sector of their entertainment division and say, we're going to ban you from this thing. And so this story has a really happy resolution so far. But it's scary what those implications mean for anybody. Like, what if you as a person fuck up at Disney World and now you're banned from Disneyland, and then you're banned from AMC theaters because they maybe own that too. I don't think they do. Or they own some claim in it. But it starts to get really scary when you think of how much just one company can own. So that's sort of my thrust of the story. But Lawrence, if you want to take away sort of, what did the LA Times article really break down about Disney?
Well, so the LA Times article was just about the push and pull between, like I said, the city of Anaheim and Disney as a corporation. There's existing deals that have to do with like bonds and the assumption of debt and the assignment of costs. So the city of Anaheim built the Mickey and Friends lot, and they're leasing it to Disneyland for $1 a year. But that was all part of another deal that had Disney also building up a bunch of the areas around Disneyland. And they have a new resort going in. There's a new hotel going into Disneyland. So all this stuff does bring in money to Anaheim. There was an interesting stat here. About 30,600 people work at Disneyland Resort. This is from the LA Times article. Accounting for nearly 19% of Anaheim's jobs based on a recent city report. Disneyland employs a fifth of the city. But that's a lot of money. That's a lot of people that get to go home and buy clothes and food for their kids, put money back into the economy. So it's not that Disney, well, they are a big corporation, but there's still good happening, and there's still people that get to go to work and go home and have families and stuff like that because of it. So the push and pull here was Anaheim's already made a lot of, and the part where it does get kind of nefarious. This I'm trying to think of just how complicated this or how to relate this, but so Disney funded PACs. PACs, I actually can't remember what that acronym stands for.
Penny Arcade
Action
Expo.
Committees.
There you go. That were supporting specific candidates that were running against some reform candidates that were running on a platform of Disneyland makes a lot of money. Maybe it's time they start helping out Anaheim a little more. Disney is on the cusp of reaching some agreements with the city of Anaheim that are like 25 year deals in the future. And this stuff is already in place, so this is not uncommon. The reform candidates won anyway, despite Disney throwing some skin in the game. Not much, to the tune of a couple $100,000. For a city the size of Anaheim is a large amount, but as far as Disney's concerned, they can lose that behind the couch. So their candidates didn't win. The reform candidates are in now, and they're suggesting that the city of Anaheim push a little harder back on Disney for some of the deals that they're about to sign or about to argue over or to negotiate or whatever. So, with that being the backdrop, this LA Times article comes out basically, as far as I can tell, objectively laying out, here are all the things that Disney has done, here's a record of all the deals they have, and here's the current impasse, is that the city of Anaheim wants to push back a little bit. But the article itself made mention of a lot of good things that Disney and Disney's money has done for the city of Anaheim, admitting as such in several places that if it weren't for it, Anaheim would still just be a sleepy agricultural town. So now Disney, like you were saying, Adam, because of this, LA Times reporters were barred from seeing Disney advanced screenings, which is another interesting development. It's tempting to think that there's some hooded figure like Dr. Claw at Disney who's like rubbing his hands together and saying, yes, LA Times, he will suffer at the hands of Disney. Right. It could be something as simple as somebody from the parks division went to lunch with somebody from the entertainment division. They got 2 cocktails in and was like, man, fuck the LA Times. Because they were trying to push these deals through, and this article may have been a roadblock. So then that person on the entertainment division was like, fuck the LA Times, we're not inviting them. It could have just been an arbitrary decision of two people that were good friends.
Well, in Disney's opinion, there were facts exchanged over a series of months, and the LA Times chose to create a biased narrative, a predetermined narrative of those facts. That's what Disney in their statement
that's
argues.
That's where the story got weird, is that Disney actually released a statement saying, this is why we're dicks.
Disney said, we took the time to share facts with the reporter, who Daniel Miller, he does work in film industry for LA Times. That's his meat and potatoes with them. So that Disney would come back and say, well, if your film industry writer is going to be banned from screenings, I get why that was the reaction. I don't sympathize with it, but I get that's why their reaction was that. But yeah, Disney sort of sided with Orange County Register, who described it as a hit piece. Because they felt like they were being targeted, that the facts were sort of being manipulated to present them in a certain light. I agree with kind of what you guys have been saying, where it did actually present some pretty positive things about Disney.
It was even-handed.
And kind of said, well, Disney, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and Disney sort of upholds their end of the bargain by taking some of or alleviating the city in terms of like what they need to provide to infrastructure for the resort in terms of
this line is from the article. Disney has also taken steps to unburden Anaheim since 1992. The company has paid the city for police service at its resort property and has done the same for fire and paramedic service since 2000. Those contracts now generate more than $10 million a year for the city. That doesn't sound like a hit piece to me.
Well, it's unfortunate that you would think that something like Disney, something so large that attempts to be so PC in a lot of different places, would react defensively, because that's what it seems like they did. They reacted defensively. They saw someone write an article about how much they're contributing with a question mark at the end saying, is this enough? And they got defensive because I'm sure to them they're like, but look at all this stuff we've paid into it. Anaheim would be a nothing place if it weren't for us. And so they got defensive about it. But then the article also, through its facts and information and sharing, paints a narrative that it's like, okay, they've paid, what was it, $10 million for their police and fire, for their own police and fire services. That's directly to Anaheim city employee salaries that they're paying for. But then the article also contrasts that with the fact that a giant cement building that they constructed, even if it's half full, the parking deck, even if it's half full, will generate $35 million a year. So it's like it's the one thing where Disney's going, we're giving you a ton of money, and then someone goes, but a ton is nothing to you.
Right.
I think is kind of the two sides of the argument are.
To play devil's advocate, I think Disney's problem that they illustrated in their statement was that they felt like this was a contrived narrative, that even before the reporter wrote this piece, they knew in their mind that they were going to paint Disney in this light and say, is it questionable what Disney gives back to the city? And that and Disney had engaged in a month-long interview process with him, willingly providing him with facts and information, and they felt like maybe that information was skewed. And that was the intent before the hypothesis was created, saying didn't it, and that was what was they came to that conclusion before they even had the facts, and then shaped them to fit that narrative. But at the same time, it's like, well, are you going to be petty and ban reporters? 'Cause that's not really the correct response, at least in my opinion. Yeah,
that's where it gets a little weird. Moving forward, recently with the LA Times, they were then banned and told, you're banned because of this. That sends a really scary message, and thankfully, a lot of people push back. And that was a very kind of a cool moment. This happened, what's today? Today's Tuesday, November 7th, when we recorded this. Just this morning, it was announced that multiple news outlets and the Los Angeles, I wrote this down.
Film Critics Association, I believe.
Where did I put that? Yeah, the Los Angeles Film Critics Association said they would be omitting Disney from any sort of award consideration.
Jesus.
Almost within hours, Disney responded back and lifted the ban.
It's because they knew the momentum was gaining, and Disney is so smart. And I say that not because they're good. Like, they're not a pure company, and they're just good at being an American company. It's also funny to me that, like, when do people get upset? It wasn't that Disney was funding political candidates to move the needle in their direction for the city of Anaheim. That didn't bother anyone because no one knew. It's when some dude doesn't go get to see Star Wars early and pitches a fit on Twitter.
Blaine Gibson. I'm kidding. I'm
So
kidding.
I-
We're so mean to him.
I don't want to. I mean, I know I sound like jaded and like that guy who's like, you shouldn't. Why do you enjoy Christmas if you're not good all the year? Whatever. Who cares? I just I think this stuff is good, only in that you need to roll it back and figure out where the actual problems are and the actual muscle that corporations have, and it's all money. And the other thing is, it's not evil, but this is the system.
Yeah,
And
corporations.
it crosses, when it gets visible is when it's a problem.
Corporations often hide under their or behind their personage as the law grants them, and the rights that they are given as an individual under law. That's so always so bogus when you think about that with corporations. You're like,
Of course.
that they are treated in certain legal
Well, it's public
realms
image
this way.
crafting. Yeah. This video itself is some dude serenading a young girl in a Disney park.
Yeah,
That is creating
You're
image.
not allowed to bring
all
your
it
guitar in there.
takes is David Simon though to stand up and say, "Hey, I'm throwing out my Disney screeners. F you guys.
Whoa, David
I'm
Simon."
not voting." And then
Yeah.
and then Disney's like, "Whoa, we
Yeah.
love The Wire."
Well,
we're
big fans.
So I'm wondering if it's one of those things where Disney has, for years, decades, I mean, we'll be coming up on 100 years not too far from now. They've been a very clean company. They've had a very family-friendly image. Is there just some inherent evil that is lurking inside of Disney where they, like Lauren said, a couple bros out to drink said, "Fuck that guy." And it got out, and they forgot. Oh shit, we're supposed to be clean, and every once in a while we gotta, whip ourselves in the back. And be like, "I'm sorry, Lord."
Let me pose an image to you.
Sure.
Watchman Ozymandias.
Okay.
He didn't think he was a bad guy. All of his objectives were working towards what he believed to be a good common goal for a massive amount of people. He didn't necessarily care what he stepped on along the way because those are just obstructions to him doing good things. I think Disney is a company that tries to push a more progressive, welcoming kind of culture. There's diversity in a lot of their products, and they don't really discriminate, which are good things. But at the same time, they're someone may be thinking, if we can get through this tax loophole and we can ensure that we'll profit an extra $4 billion this year, think about how much more good agenda we can push through.
Of course.
And that's how the mindset works sometimes. And is that okay? I have no idea. That's when the morality monitor is all over the place.
Yeah.
There isn't any, man. Capitalism, your score is your revenue. And you have to beat everyone else who's playing the same game.
But even if it isn't about the money number and it's about how many people they can reach, they still need money. Money is the fuel that helps you reach the people.
Right, yeah.
So if they're counting the number of people they reach with goodness and positivity and family values and alternative living and happiness, but they still need to fuel it with money, they're going to go and they're going to fund those PACs and try and get their congressmen that they want in there so that way they can maintain control of those funds and make more funds so they can reach more people. It's a weird thing.
Well, it gets into a weird situation too where, like I said before, it's a giant corporation. There's a lot of different people. So we've lived through this with other companies where one hand will do something. You're working with a lot of cool people, a lot of smart people. You're making a cool thing. But over on the other side, they're doing a really dumb fucking thing. And because you're a forward-facing person, they come to you and go, "Dude, what the fuck?" I imagine someone working at a Disney park, someone comes up and go, "Why'd you ban that journalist?" I didn't. What?
Yeah.
I didn't do nothing.
My name's Steve. You want a pretzel?
I was digging through some comments just through different websites and Reddit, and someone even put in this there's almost a tear-jerking story about how their father passed away, and they were using his pass for the last
annual
time.
pass?
Yeah, his annual pass,
Man.
and they went on the wrong day because they looked at it as a blackout day,
yeah.
and the person who worked there said. They told him the story. "Oh, I'm so sorry." They're like, "Oh no, right this way." They're like, "What was your dad's favorite ride?" And they got him to the front of the line of the ride, and you're just like, what is this thing I'm feeling?
Yeah.
And it's because Disney attracts those types of people, and I've met other Disney employees from different departments, from different parts. They're some of the happiest people in the world. They're very
Because they have to be.
well, I don't think they have to be. I think Disney attracts that type of
yeah.
person. But it's kind of like an inverse. For every 100,000 very nice Disney employees, there's probably one a-hole making deals with, city employees trying to do this.
I think it's more than one.
Well, yeah,
but I
sure.
think it's the agenda. The ends justify the means, and for them, it's it's similar to the Walmart situation. Walmart is this massive conglomerate, and there were arguments that come up, and they're like, listen, we hire people that no other place would hire, and then we give them jobs where they stand at the door and they just say hello. Mm-hmm. We're literally just giving away free money, and then you're like, but you're paying them nothing, and they're working shitty hours.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're convincing them to get on public subsidy programs so you don't have to pay their health insurance.
Yeah, and they're like, but without us, they wouldn't. So it's like this weird thing where I see how you're trying to help, but sometimes you can't predict how much your help is going to hurt.
Sure.
I don't know. It's weird. And then Disney also, again, the big thing that Disney comes back to is how massive it is. That if something happened with Walmart like this, Walmart can't then ban a completely different media format from criticism, right?
Right.
So like what happens in the Disney parks shouldn't have anything to do with a Marvel film,
Right.
but it does. And that's kind of scary.
Just to do a quick rundown, we only went through a few of the things Disney owns.
Yeah,
but
because we were debating, Adam, you were going to join in solidarity.
I was gonna have a brief. This is how quickly this thing moved. This morning, I saw that everyone was doing this, and not that we fucking matter. We're a small ripple in a giant pond of whatever journalists and actual esteemed professionals. Disney doesn't give a fuck about us.
A wrinkle in time.
Yeah.
We are just a wrinkle in time.
Can't wait
Hit
to see
Disney
it.
film coming
And
out.
that's the thing.
It would do very nice standing with the.
But
reporters.
I had asked the room, would you guys be okay not talking about Disney properties as to show a sign of solidarity with other online groups that you won't stand for this sort of thing, that you won't be bullied by a company. Not that, like I said, not that we matter, but it just shows support.
But
And
amusingly, that would probably hurt us more than
most
Disney.
likely,
Well,
yes.
you also said, does anyone else feel like this is virtue signaling?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were like, well,
You could just
if
do
we-
it and not say it.
If we don't do it, if we just do it and we don't make a thing of it, now what we're doing is we're calling out that we totally would have.
Yeah.
But we're not. Because we don't have to.
It's
Which
the
is
best version of all
absolutely
things.
virtue
Well, because
signaling.
I immediately saw
we could
the.
still get to play Battlefront and feel good about ourselves.
Well, I saw the prototypical YouTube thumbnail of the guy looking ashamed at the Disney logo crossed out, and then the title, "Why I'm Not Supporting Disney and You Shouldn't Either."
Oh, gosh.
And I'm just like, ugh, like I hate myself. I
evaporate.
hate going down this thing. But we were just running down some of the things that this would include. So there's Lucas, first
Yeah,
of all.
all of
That's every Star Wars property, and Willow.
The Willow Watch.
I heard a gasp. I'm just not sure
Okay.
from whom.
I think it was Benson
That was the
farting.
car.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Marvel, so that's the MCU. Marvel Puzzle Quest. We're also talking about Star Wars Battlefront earlier with Lucas. Pixar, so the upcoming movie would have been Coco there. Is it called Coco? I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, looks cool. And then also Touchstone Pictures, for those who don't know. Disney owns them. That would have been the upcoming film Glass, which is
Here.
the sequel to Split.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable, Split, and then Bridge of Spies was like the last big movie they put out.
You have to boycott Bridge of Spies.
I really
please.
wanted to talk
Miramax.
about
I
it.
couldn't watch it for an eighth time.
ESPN.
Oh yeah,
ABC or
AB,
CBS?
ABC.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's just some of the things they own. It's a giant.
That we're aware of.
All of
Yeah.
our favorite Maker YouTube channels.
Do they still own Maker? I thought they got rid of Maker.
They
I don't know.
disbanded Maker.
I have not been keeping up on it.
They merged it into another interactive entertainment.
You're not saying
division.
Avatar.
I don't think they
licensing
own
it,
Avatar.
probably.
They're just licensing it for their park.
Doesn't
which is
matter.
Such an odd decision.
It goes into the Disney coffers.
15 years from now, when you're bringing your kid or nephew or whatever to Disney World, and you're like, "What the hell is this thing?"
I'll go, that's
Like,
me.
That's
Me as your mom.
This whole conversation
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of, and now that I live in California and I'm closer to Anaheim, I see these things come up in local politics, where Disney keeps raising the price of Disneyland tickets, and there are families that want to go and struggle to afford it. So every time they raise the price, there is the same conversation of, Disney, you make enough money, and why would you exclude lower income families from experiencing the Disney magic? And I can see both sides of that argument. From Disney's perspective, if you're at capacity, you need to raise ticket price. That's the only option. And raising ticket price allows you to do things like build Star Wars Land, build new resorts, build new parking structures, build new hotels, increase the capacity of the park. So more people can experience that magic. But yes, there is a cost to it because they can't give it away for free. So there is that weird back and forth of, Disney, you're rich enough, can't you just do something nice?
Yeah.
But
There's no
theoretically,
such
they
thing.
are doing something nice by creating a product that no one else can. Because like the difference between Disneyland and Magic Mountain is ridiculous. people smile at Disneyland, and they at least are really good at acting like they care, and it matters. If you have ever been to Disneyland, it is a fundamentally more pleasant experience than any other
It's
park.
like the Trader Joe's of theme parks.
Yes. Yeah, kind of. That's
You
a
go
good
to
way of putting it.
Universal Studios, they're just trying to burn you. They're always trying to like,
Yeah, they're getting you.
that was.
Yeah.
Putting cigarettes out on your forehead.
I
and
was
stuff.
15 and a half when I worked at Magic Mountain, so I know the kind of people that work there. A lot of just
Six
shitty
Flags Magic Mountain.
kids. Yeah, Six Flags. It was bad.
That's
so
what Jon Favreau looks like now.
what?
Didn't? Never
Why would
mind.
John Favreau be
That was
talking
John
about?
Landau.
Oh, okay, never mind. I saw AU and I was like, oh, there he is.
So just to quickly wrap up this story, so that we can get to our Airbud check-in.
Did we
So
ever settle if that was actually Disney owned all the way back or not?
what?
Airbud. Is that a Disney property?
Originally, yes, I believe it was a Touchstone picture or a Disney thing. We'll get into
We've
that in a
made
sec.
our peace.
I was afraid that we would have to boycott the Airbud check-in, but thankfully it will live on. So
Some say that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
some
When
most
Disney heard that there were mutterings that
Bud Watch is
Budwatch.
canceled.
Budwatch
would
would
be
go from
canceled.
cancel, yeah. So Disney once again is back down. They issued this statement: "We've had productive discussions with the newly installed leadership of the Los Angeles Times regarding our specific concerns, and as a result, we've agreed to restore access to advanced screenings to their film critics."
Why did they say that? Newly installed leadership.
I don't know. That was odd. I was like, did they like pull an assassination and put in like a Mickey Lovin manager over at LA Times?
Yeah, there's a new speed bump in the dollar a year parking lot. Guess who's under it? I'm just playing with you, Disney. I love your parks.
Regardless, it always blows my mind how big of a company Disney is and how quickly and how nimble they can be sometimes, where companies a fraction of their size could not be that quick. It's kind of crazy, but I would say good on them,
Well,
at least for trying.
So
Yeah.
having talked to people that work at Disney, there are a few things that will make that company move and move fast than a public image problem.
Mhm.
And I mean, Maker caused a few of those for them. And when like people are starting to band together against Disney, they will squash that and they'll throw money at it. So this was a pretty diplomatic solution. I don't know if money was involved, but yeah, it does seem like a big lumbering entity of a company, but the reason it's been around for so long is because they value PR and image. And they'll belly flop on any image as fast as they can.
Well, that's it for the Disney story. And speaking of money, we want to save you money. 30%, that is. 30% of money.
Nice.
That's a good one. I'm good.
You go to the MON and part of the E.
This episode of Funhaus is brought to you by Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Blue Apron's on a mission to make incredible home cooking accessible for everyone. Everyone sitting in this room right now, I believe, other than Benson, has cooked their meal using Blue Apron. We're all big fans here.
He's eating some. Tell you that.
Has he?
Blue Apron?
You're feeding your dog
He loves
amazing
these.
meals from
delicious
Blue Apron,
meals?
yes.
Okay.
He's like, did you make this with provided ingredients?
Blue Apron has a positive impact on the community. Blue Apron has established partnerships with over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States, and as a result, the food tastes good. That's all I'm going to say. As simple as it sounds, they send you some really good ingredients, and the meats tend to be better than the stuff you get at the store. That's just me talking. It's premium stuff. There's a positive impact on the household. Cooking together is a great way to be together. Do you guys cook together? I ask you this every time.
Build strong
Things
bonds
like-
when we cook together.
Or
but
do you sometimes do all the work?
Sometimes she'll go into the kitchen while I'm trying to cook, and then Benson comes in, and we don't have a very large kitchen, so we trip over each
Like a
other.
bowl
and
in
then
a china
So and
shop.
then eventually it's just plates being thrown at each other. But
Those-
it isn't until we get that hot plate of Blue Apron out that things resolve.
There have been moments where like I'll do all the prep, like chopping all the vegetables and stuff, and James comes in and then he'll cook the rest.
That-
We do this sometimes stuff. like
Sometimes
There- well-
she sits on my head. She pulls my hair.
The cooking instructions are very easy. They give you these printout cards, and there's always the prep section, which I feel like anyone can do, and it's actually always really good practice for any future cooking you want to do in your lives. It is sort of like taking a do-it-yourself cooking class, which is a big reason why I like Blue Apron, and I feel like I have gotten better as a cook. Anyway, there's some upcoming meals that I think you guys should check out. There's the crispy wild Alaskan pollock and garlic mashed potatoes with roasted broccoli, not Barkley. He's not there. Then also comes some tartar sauce. Here's some more if you guys want to read about those on the top.
We got seared steaks and garlic butter with oven fries and romaine salad.
Yeah.
My garlic butter. How about some cheesy broccoli baked pasta with crispy thyme breadcrumbs? Sounds like a little vegetarian spice on you.
How about some roasted chicken and fall vegetables with cranberry and ginger compote?
Cranberry.
That's the best kind of berry.
You got my vote. And the ordering is also, the picking the meals is pretty simple. They give you a lot to choose from every week. I was recently out of the office. I was able to put my orders on hold. Very easy to do. And I started right back up, getting my new shipment, I believe, today, which is actually pretty nice. Thank you. Yes, clap for
Good
me.
job. Hero.
Clap for me. I am great. Anyway, so please check out this week's menu and get get $30 off of your first order with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/filmhouse. That's FILMHAUS. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home cooked meals with Blue Apron. So do not wait. That is blueapron.com/filmhouse. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. So thank you for all that fun stuff. Let's do our Airbud check-in. Where are my boys at? All right, boys, please forgive me for neglecting you last week. How's the Airbud check-in? How's the Airbud life treating you?
Last week, you've been gone for 3-4 episodes?
Something like that.
Yeah, you're missing out.
Do you even know what we're doing here?
Not really. I wasn't watching while I was gone. So, which movie we on now?
All right, so this is Funhaus presents BudHaus Best Buds Bud Watch episode 5.
Thank you.
It's called.
I've totally seen this one.
Sure, he has. It's called Airbud Spikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
And take a quick guess, Adam, what the sport is. In this
I'm going to guess volleyball
You
because it
got
involves
it.
spiking. This is not a trailer.
It's not. It's
And they
definitely not.
dropped the dog puns. It's now Star Wars puns for the rest of
Yeah.
the series.
So this is kind of a bittersweet entry in the series because this is the last of the original continuity before the soft reboot of the Air Buddies series. So there's no the protagonist of the original's gone. It's mostly new actors. This stupid dumb toddler who can't act.
Yeah, I don't remember that. That's a different Airbud.
Yeah,
It is a different Airbud.
are they required to kill him after every one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think labs only live for about 2.5 years.
Yeah. So in this one, the sister's best friend moves away, and
This is volleyball, by the way.
it gets to volleyball eventually. And Airbud's got to help her through that transition, and she meets a really cool, like shaggy-haired skater dude that moved from California. He comes into town.
Yes, I remember that part.
Yeah, and so Airbud helps her learn volleyball so she can hang out with the boy and go visit her friend in California.
Okay.
I think meta-wise, this is the genesis of completely sapient animals. They aren't
Yes.
just sentient; they are sapient. They
They
have
can-
intelligence.
They start to take on human-like
Well,
traits.
they-
Yes,
the-
there is a parrot, a wisecracking parrot, that is basically a human stuck in a bird's body.
Yeah, Buddy can read clocks. He can understand when the bird is no longer being held hostage. And you've been missing out. And the villains, Adam. We've had mad scientists, geneticists,
Yep.
Clowns.
abusive clowns, Russian spies.
Uh-huh.
I think we had, what was the other one we had in there?
It
Like
was just-
illegal dog breeders. So
Yeah.
these are bumbling jewel thieves. They need to steal the jewel of eternity from the local museum.
Right.
Yeah.
How does Airbud?
Oh, that's
in.
the best part.
Yeah.
They kidnap the bird so that the bird can call Airbud so that Airbud can sneak through the vents and steal the diamond.
But why volleyball?
They needed a sport
Okay.
and they're running out.
That is all I want to know.
Yeah.
Be sure to tune in next week when we move on to the next chapter of the Airbud universe, cinematic universe. What's the
Air Buddies.
Air Buddies? Dear God. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate you making the trek over here.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me. And
Go
thank
Disney.
you. Yeah. Hey, Disney. Thanks for making sure we don't have to boycott Airbud. That's really
Bye.
good. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening and watching. Thank you to all my guests today. Thank you, Blue Apron, for sponsoring this podcast. We'll see you next time.
Oh.
Until then, stay buddy.
Thor and Hulk palling around the galaxy.
So-
And that's a great pairing just in terms of character archetype. The stoic, serious one, the nebbish one that also like blows up and goes crazy. That used to be, there was a cotton industry on planes, trains, automobiles, all kinds of films that are not occurring to me right now. But yeah, I just pair up two dudes and set them on the road. And
So that's the thing.